Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to come on today and say congratulations. We have made it halfway through Saturn in Capricorn. At the end of January and beginning of February, Saturn came to the exact midpoint of Capricorn at 15 degrees, and it is officially halfway through. And we have, believe it or not, come a little bit more than a year since Saturn entered Capricorn. If you guys want to see the sort of preface to this video, my initial channeling on Saturn and Capricorn, that'll be in the top right hand corner and in the description box below to sort of get the first part of this video. This is sort of a part two, some of my new ideas and new opinions based on the energies that I've felt of Saturn and Capricorn, and sort of, getting some experience along with those psychic messages that I channeled before the transit really started. So yes, check out that first video, and we will sort of get into some of this really cool content of a transit that I have particularly enjoyed. And I feel like the transit of Saturn in Capricorn has been a very helpful and positive energy in general for a lot of us. I know it's not easy because it's not a light Saturn, it's not a weightless Saturn, it is one of the heavier Saturns, but Saturn is at home in Capricorn, it rules Capricorn. There's a familiarity within the energy of Saturn in Capricorn. And I've learned throughout the year that this transit has been in effect, that all of those Saturn principles, limitations, structures, boundaries, fortress, walls, fortitude, endurance, strength, have really been given a familiar overtone where we're finding familiarity and we're finding comfort and knowledge within how we withstand, how we create boundaries, how we experience limitations in our life. And it truly has been a wonderful opportunity over the last year and continuing into the next and final year of this transit to find comfort, ease, and ability within your limitations, within your structures, and within your strength as a person, to get behind your cause, to really take control of your life, to really get in the driver's seat and elicit a change or elicit the necessary steps to get where you're going. This is a really empowering transit and a really strength revitalizing transit as well. And it is middle Saturn, it is at that midpoint. So the first year from, again, that was December 19th, 2017 when it went in, and it lasts until December 16th of 2020. So we're halfway there, it's now February of 2019. That first year would have shown you where the problem was in your life. It would have shown you where the boundaries were not sufficient, where there was erosion within like your walls as a person. It would have shown you where you were pushing too hard. It would have shown you where you were being too lazy. It would have shown you where you were procrastinating, and it would have shown you where things aren't enough, where the deficiencies are, where the insufficiencies are. And yes, that's hard, specifically for those of you who are cardinal signs, like especially Capricorn and Cancer, but to a lesser degrees Libra and Aries. You would have seen so clearly where things weren't enough and where the problems were, like a strong illumination of the problems. And this is one of the reasons why Saturn gets a bad rap in astrology, and many people interpret it as something quite negative. And I want to sort of debunk that a little bit. In fact, I might make a specific video in the future sort of debunking like some of our developed stereotypes about the planets and them being wholly positive or wholly negative, like Saturn and Pluto being wholly negative, like Venus and Jupiter being wholly positive. They do tend to exhibit in those ways. It is true. Because traditional and ancient astrology, it's not wrong. There was a reason why they associated Saturn with difficulty and Jupiter with benevolence. That's not incorrect in any way. But as times change and as paradigms change, there has been a bit of a complication and complexity that has generated more clearly as we start to work on ourselves and we start to become more complex beings. These seemingly positive or negative things start to find new interpretations. So this transit of Saturn specifically, it will have shown you over the last year something really, really difficult. It's not untrue, especially for those cardinal signs. But at the same time, it would have been something that you saw coming. And it would have been something that's necessary. That's the thing about Saturn. It does not give pain, doubt, fear, difficulty, or trials unnecessarily. Okay, this isn't like a difficult like Neptune or Pluto transit where you're being given some kind of situation that doesn't really have definition or some kind of explanation of why it's happening. Everything in Saturn is tried and true, and everything with Saturn energy needed to happen. Okay, it needed to happen. And where we make it a lot more difficult on ourselves is when we take something that is becoming a little bit inevitable. Like, for example, we're in a relationship that is going down the drain, and we're seeing, like, oh my gosh, Saturn has come onto my Venus or into like my seventh house or something, and all of a sudden this relationship that I valued so much is feeling a pressure, a tension, and I don't know what it is, but I don't want to see it go, so I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to pretend that's not there, and I'm going to force this relationship to function and to be what I know that it is. That's when Saturn transits become difficult. When we can't let go, or when we can't accept what the source of this difficulty is, because Saturn really only comes in to show sources and to show the truth. So if, for example, there's no respect in the relationship or no communication, and we don't allow ourselves to realize that, and we think, oh, well, I'm just being cheated on, or this person just doesn't care, or this person just doesn't know me, and we can't see that it's like a communication problem or something, that's when this becomes really difficult, and you can apply that to any sector of your life. It's just when we can't see the source of the problem and we try to sort of push ahead blindly that Saturn transits become difficult. And, there are cases where it's not so simple, and, we don't exactly get, Saturn coming up to us and saying, okay, you can make this choice. You can either see the truth or you cannot. And if you don't, it's going to be hard. And if you do, it's going to be, not quite so hard. Sometimes it's complicated, but sometimes it's also not. And sometimes we can see pretty clearly, especially with a Saturn like this, how things are. So coming to the midpoint of this transit, what do you see? And what do you see about the past and the way that things have been, and about what hasn't been easy and what has been easy, and what you need to motivate and work towards? Because there's always, I've noticed with Saturn, like a big change at the midpoint. And with all the outer planets, this would be true, I believe. That first half of the transit really shows the problem and really shows the where the difficulty is, where the lesson is within this karmic cycle. And then the second half becomes a lot about implementing the needed changes. And this can also depend on what degree the natal placements you have that this might be hitting, like what those degrees are, because then those midpoints can change up a little bit. But collectively and societally, this is certainly true for everybody to some degree, that the first half shows the problem and the second half then asks us to solve and fix it. And I kind of want everyone to realize and affirm to themselves the reality of this transit is that you have such a perfect environment around you in some way to create a really nice structure and to find comfort and solace as well in your routine and within how you sort of invest your energy as well. It's a very investing energy. And there will not be another quite so strongly placed for a good another like 15 or 20 years after this. Like there will be okay Saturn energy for sure, but like it'll be before we get to Saturn in Libra again, which will be again like 20-ish years from now. So there is a really great opportunity like in your lifetime, like right here, to really get things in order and to understand how you invest your energy as a person, what you choose to build, what you choose to create, and how you choose to set your boundaries as a person as well. All of those things are really getting in order. And as I said, you would have seen over the last year the issue with that and how to move forward with it and fix it this year, if that makes sense. So some more tips on utilizing this Saturn and Capricorn energy at the midpoint and moving forward. Are things such as like falling neatly into productivity. I think that productivity is going to be very emphasized for all of us over the next year with, also having Pluto and Capricorn as well. There's a large energy relating to, again, our scheduling, our routine, our productivity as people. And on one hand, like not being lazy, not procrastinating, but also not overdoing it and using our energy in a way that is not maintainable or sustainable. That's a big thing about this Saturn-Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, is learning how to sustain your energy and learning how to invest it in ways that are sustainable. That's huge for us. And we see that also in the outer world with all of the energy things that we have with our planet right now as well, the whole sustainable energy movements and things. It's reciprocated in the macrocosmic as well as the microcosmic. We're searching for ways to use our energy responsibly. This is a lot what Saturn and Pluto in the same sign, but certainly in Capricorn do represent. Falling neatly into those productive cycles, enjoying your productivity, enjoying your neatness as a person. Also revitalizing your work. We have Uranus and Taurus trine, and moving towards it. It's not going to be exact, but it's still both of those earth energies. So there's I want to say an innovation that happens for the way that you work and for the way that you generate your abundance, the way that money is made. I feel there are going to be a lot of economical shifts, but sort of neat shifts that take a while to happen. Again, Saturn doesn't like Uranus energy that much because Uranus is all about defying the status quo and all about changing and all about moving to new territory, new horizons, whereas Saturn is about maintaining and about holding strong and about keeping steady. So they kind of tend to clash a bit. But when they trine, you see that aspects of both come up and aspects of both fall through. So we will see, I think, a slight change to the way that money works, a slight change to economy, a slight change to how we fund our lives. That will be changing. So try to meet that energy halfway and think, what small changes and responsible changes can I make about the way that I generate income or the way that I spend? Also energetically about the way that I'm given energy, the way that I spend my energy. Okay, I feel that we will also be seeing monotony in a new way as well. It could feel a little bit boring, but this boredom is needed, and it's going to be offset by extreme happiness and extreme emotions. Again, that Jupiter and Sagittarius energy will definitely offset this aspect quite a bit, but there might be a little bit of monotony for the next year relating to your job or relating to how you, again, make money or find energy, find opportunity. It could feel like a slow ride and a slow burn, but there will be peaks within that, I feel, with the Jupiter and Sag energy. Another thing that comes up with this transit at this point in time is reputation. Okay, it's a big thing with Saturn and Capricorn. Again, Capricorn is 10th house energy. It's the top of the chart. It's your platform, your prestige, what you're known for, how you're seen by others, and what you represent as a person. So that needs structure and that needs work. That's something that's not just going to fall into place. That's not something that's just going to be what you want it to be by default. In fact, this could be one of the biggest things. And I think with the advent of social media and the effect that that's had on society at this point in time, that social media will undergo quite a drastic, I don't want to say a drastic change because that's not going to be it, but there's going to be a new attitude towards social media, a new attitude perhaps towards the type of thing that I do, towards the type of thing of people projecting their personalities, personas, and work into a very seen methodology or output. Not something bad necessarily, but it requires work and it requires diligence and it requires a new, again, reliable, responsible change with that Uranus trine Saturn, slight trine energy. Again, it's not an exact trine, but yes, I do feel that social media will become something a little bit different, and I feel that the way that our reputations exist within it and the way that we are seen by others is something that requires a lot of what do I want to say? A lot of focus. A lot of focus. Our reputations, our outputs, our projections require a lot of focus. Not something that is obsessive compulsive, not something that undermines itself through being hyper-focused, but we can't turn a blind eye to how we appear to others right now. With Neptune and Pisces too, there is a sense of losing our true identity in this type of energy. Again, with the sort of, I want to say wheels in a cog all moving together seamlessly, energy of Saturn and Capricorn, with the just vast endlessness of Neptune and Pisces, and the the sort of manic up energy of Jupiter and Sagittarius, making these cogs move really quickly, it's easy to get lost within the process, and easy to feel like people are steaming ahead of you, and like people don't get you, and that you're just sort of this like hamster on a wheel. That is something that can come up this year, but there is also a structure well developed already here to make it what you want it to be through work, focus, and diligence. Diligence is important this year. Okay, as we are building our platform, we are building our stage, and you have to be careful to not work too hard. Again, workaholic tendencies can arise. Things not being easy can become easy. It can be easy to accept complication. It can be easy to find yourself moving continuously on a path where things are much harder than they have to be. It can be easy to not let things be easy. So allow a bit more ease to come in, but not succumbing to laziness or procrastination at the same time, that middle ground. And through that, it feels that we toughen up and we foster health. So health is another aspect of any type of Capricorn energy. Capricorn is very tough, very naturally healthy. Again, we're in a pig year as well, which deals with health. The pig year is also naturally healthy. So yes, we can all become more healthy this year with a bit of focus and a bit of effort too. Our bodies can become healthier. Old cycles of anxiety can release. Old cycles of nervousness can release. Likewise, old ailments or old deficiencies can release through focused effort, because we become less delicate actually through this transit. We become less apt to suffering, really, if we work on ourselves, if we have emotional growth. It's a great time for working with a counselor, a great time for working with a therapist, a great time perhaps to work with someone like myself. You can find my details below if that would interest you. But it's really good to get a structure for your emotional environment, to understand your past, to understand where you're coming from, and through the understanding of it, through like grouping it up, being able to move on. Okay, it's not about staying in the past. It's not about constantly going into conscious shadow work and working through the past. That can be good, especially during this time of the year. Okay, February, early March, and throughout the rest of the year, it can work in small doses. But it's good to get it figured out and then move on. The very important caveat to that is the moving on part, not the past tripping part. Okay, and I feel that throughout it all, with again the Jupiter and Sag offsetting this, we're integrating impulsivity and conservatism. Okay, so it's not about just being impulsive. It's not about just being conservative with our energy. It's not about just putting out. It's not about just holding back. We have to find the middle ground, and we have to find ways to honor both ends, both sides of, yeah, I have this really strong desire to do this very eccentric thing. That's great. Check the Jupiter and Sag video, which is below, to understand more about that. But with this strong Pluto, Saturn, Capricorn energy, we have to also be able to know when enough is enough, and we have to know when we're causing harm by over eccentricity. We have to know when we're being impulsive to a fault, and we have to be able to make the proper action in response to that. Okay, and it can become so easy. The routines can become so easy. The job can become so rewarding and so enjoyable, and you can create a structure and a template and a system of like well-oiled cogs, I feel, energetically, where you have sort of an escape plan, or how the image that I'm getting, how schools or buildings have like the fire escape routes. They have like everything well mapped out of like what to do in emergency situations. I also feel that this Saturn and Capricorn energy provides that type of thing, but none of us pay attention to it. Like you see like the fire route in a building and like you don't look at it. So look at it, look at internally, what is your like escape route? At what point in time is something, an emergency? At what point in time do you leave a situation, and what is that route? What does that process look like? Are you going to run around like a chicken with your head cut off when the fire alarms start going off? This is a Saturn that asks us these types of questions and wants us to look into it, and wants us to have an understanding of what needs to happen when like X variable happens. So get into those equations and understand like what you do, who you are as a person. We have a whole nother year of this. We have a whole nother year of grand opportunity to map things out, to understand who we are, to get in touch with our past. And again, after we get past February and March, I want to say April through August, it's not so great for past mapping. It's not so great for deep psychological work. Later on in the year, it will be okay as well. And for some people, it's going to be different. Like, depending on what happens where you're coming from, there's never a bad time for it. But I'm just saying, in general, it's best to get into a more, like, what do I want to say? Like, be the fool, be the fool, be Two of Wands energy in the tarot for after we get into April, for sure. But, it's never the wrong time, really. Just find some type of closure here, I feel like, as I'm recording this video, and you might be watching this in the future, I don't know, but I'm recording this in middle February of 2019. Hopefully through middle February and early March, you've had the opportunity to figure out your qualm with the past, to group it, and to be able to turn and start to, okay, and this is another really great thing that I'm so happy came up because I was about to end the video. Okay, this transit has a lot with not just getting the past in order. It's not about the emotions of the past, really. Like, Capricorn doesn't really deal so much with the emotions, but it has a lot to do with the tangible connection to the past. So your old family home, or your old, like, property, or your old, like, real things that came with you from your past. Emotions can do this too. However, there's a really good environment that comes up here for getting things in order. Like, if you got inheritance, like, many people could get inheritance during this type of energy as well. If you got something with that Uranus energy that you weren't expecting, it's a great time to get that in order and make that something profitable for yourself. It's a great time to go back, especially at this time of the year as I'm recording this, to go back and experience a past ancestral line. Even Saturn in Capricorn deals a lot with ancestry and deals a lot with legacy as well. So understanding your legacy, organizing your legacy, getting it in order. There can be a constant anxiety if your legacy is not in order, or if your family ties are very skewed. There can be like this little like nag in the back of your head, because it's, again, that Saturn energy saying, that makes things hard. That makes things harder than they have to be. And not for all of us is it possible to just, snap our fingers and get all of that in order. But for most of us, there is a way to make it better, or to make it understood in a new way. So some focus on that would not be harmful at all during this time, especially at the the very beginning of 2019. Before we move up to the astrological new year in March of 2019, if you could just find a new way to think about it, at least, it would be nice. Or even, get into the place of fixing it, like it's a very fixing energy. But yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful transit, really. Don't worry too much about it. Don't worry too much about Saturn in Capricorn, because it is not something that is a negative transit, and it is not something that will harm you unnecessarily. But it does require work. It requires elbow grease. It requires diligence. As I said, diligence keeps coming up with Saturn and Capricorn energy. Diligently fixing the things of the past, diligently moving into the future, knowing what you need, not sugarcoating things for yourself. One thing that Saturn and Capricorn does not tolerate is sugarcoating. You have to be real. Again, Jupiter and Sagittarius can sugarcoat. Neptune and Pisces can sugarcoat. So we've got a little square happening throughout this year at sometimes where there's a really strong potential to make things a lot sweeter than they are. But I also feel that there are things that are just unquestionably sweet as well. So only falsely sugarcoating is that a problem. Like, only like convincing yourself that something which is a problem is sweet, that becomes a problem. But accept the nice, sweet things, and don't try to make the difficult things something that they're not. Okay? Don't try to overstay in situations. At the same time, do not have escapist fantasies. The integration is the thing this year, and we always talk about it in the spiritual community, but this year, with such polarities on either side, Jupiter at home in Sagittarius, Saturn at home in Capricorn, and things which kind of come up to support each of them, there is a very blatant tug of war that can happen this year if we're talking about polarity. So finding that integration is the key, and no one can really do it perfectly. At the same time, everyone has a good opportunity to do it in a new and healing way for themselves. Anyway, everyone, I think that is a good place to conclude this video. I hope that you are thriving well during this time. And yes, I've been so happy to be here and giving this channeling to you. I'm going to be doing a write up on my Patreon page about this transit and about some more information with it. If you would like to check that out, I will put that as the first link in the description box below. I would love to have you over on my Patreon page. It has a lot of fun things that are going up quite often to aid in the support of my channel, as well as get some exclusive content for yourself. Likewise, my other links are down there too if you would like to follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. I do updates there as well. And yeah, your subscriptions make my day. We'll be talking soon, everyone. Much love. Bye. Enjoy this transit. Enjoy Saturn. It's a good one. It's really a good Saturn placement, so take advantage of it. Talk to you soon. Bye.